zest here. The Great Atomic Bamboozle: Fear, Folly, and Global Governance. A treatise on how to frighten the human race into submission using imaginary bombs and real bureaucrats. One world or none, the ultimate sales pitch. When the world wasn't standing slack-jawed at atomized ruins, it found solace in books and films designed to scare them straight. The U.S. exploited public fear through government-supported media. Enter Stage Left, the most successful piece of fear-mongering literature since the Book of Revelation, One World or None, a 1946 book by the Federation of American Scientists, comprised of former Manhattan Project scientists, including Einstein, Bohr, Oppenheimer. A short companion film was also released. A propagandist's delight. One World or None filled the bestseller lists with visions of incandescent doom and pleas for planetary group hugs. Scientists warned there was no defense, which, like many government notices, translated as, "Please submit to the new rules." Nuclear physicists Arthur Holly Compton, Harold Urey, and friends stressed humanity's stark choice: global unity or extinction, handy for the world government sales pitch. All this anxiety and asteroid movie rhetoric greased the skids for UN charters and supranational atomic oversight. Because nothing brings humans together like threatened extinction. One World or None represented a coordinated effort by leading atomic scientists to introduce the public to nuclear dangers. They hammered for the world community to come together and argued that atomic weapons mandate a united international system against atomic weapons. Authors of this infamous fear-ridden tract sought to translate technical and moral urgency into public and political pressure, while selling over 100,000 copies of the book. It became a New York Times bestseller shortly after release by convincing readers that humanity faced a simple choice between global government and global incineration. Compton, who may have missed his calling as a science fiction author, struck the perfect note of apocalyptic urgency in the introduction. The terrific blast at Hiroshima shocked the world into a realization that catastrophe lies ahead if war is not eliminated. We now have before us the clear choice between adjusting the pattern of our society on a world basis so that wars cannot come again, or of following the outworn tradition of national self-defense, which, if carried through to its logical conclusion, must result in catastrophic conflict. Global unity or annihilation. One might ask, hadn't every war since Cain and Abel already provided adequate evidence of war's catastrophic nature? But no matter. This catastrophe came with radioactive seasoning, making it somehow more catastrophic than all previous catastrophes combined. Niels Bohr contributed his own theological flourish in his foreword to the same volume, emphasized the unprecedented nature of the threat. Against the new destructive powers, no defense may be possible, and the issue centers on worldwide cooperation to prevent any use of the new sources of energy that does not serve mankind as a whole. This from a physicist who presumably understood that the best defense against any bomb was not to have it dropped on one's head in the first place. The scientists behind One World or None advocated international control, arguing that without it, atomic power undermines human dignity. Their messaging reinforced both fear and institutional urgency, helping to reframe atomic weapons not just as a new capability, but as a total existential threat requiring revolutionary governance models. As expressed, atomic power can make life immensely better, but it can also destroy it entirely. We cannot tolerate another war. Not only will nations have these bombs, but there is no defense against them. There has to be international control with teeth. Only with worldwide control can we look forward to a lasting era of peace. Its message reached a broad audience at a moment of heightened public anxiety. Reviewers were beside themselves. The New York Herald Tribune Book Review on March 17, 1946, called it an illuminating, powerful, threatening, and hopeful statement which will clarify a lot of confused thinking about atomic energy. Later scholars summed up the mood: the quintessential expression of the sense of urgency and febrile optimism that colored early reactions to the atomic bomb. It framed humanity's choice starkly: global unity or annihilation. The rallying cry was both hype and prophecy. The development of atomic energy has brought with it responsibilities and problems which cannot be met by individual nations alone. As one observer said, "We face a choice between one world or none." Such messaging helped legitimize U.S. global leadership and justify unprecedented post-war influence over allies and former adversaries. Scientists and media twirled in a lovely dance. Even Hollywood followed suit. The homonymous brief film, 9 minutes, widely distributed, became the first post-war atomic scare documentary, arguing that only a unified world order could avert mass destruction, all reinforcing pro-UN institutional momentum. The fear eased the ideas that international relations based on national sovereignty and its potential for conflict seemed woefully inadequate. This short film served as a sort of atomic evangelism, spreading the gospel of global governance to audiences who had somehow survived previous wars without requiring world government. The documentary's message was elegantly simple: submit to international authority or face extinction. It's remarkable how persuasive this argument becomes when one controls both the threat and the proposed solution. Media such as Life magazine and similar outlets reflected intense public interest in nuclear issues. While One World or None was not always front-page news, its themes echoed across academic and popular coverage of atomic anxiety in the late 1940s. Philip Morrison, a professor of physics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, conjured visions of atomic devastation, a metropolis vaporized in a flash. He dramatized the terrifying potential impact of a single bomb on New York City. If the bomb gets out of hand, if we do not learn to live together so that science will be our help and not our hurt, there is only one sure future: the cities of men on Earth will perish. Nobel laureate in chemistry Harold Urey warned with scientific authority. There is no defense. Only a unified world authority can save us from destruction. As Urey spent his days urging for world government, the press hammered home the options: cosmic togetherness or radioactive ostrich. It's rather like convincing people they need an umbrella by shouting rain while secretly operating the sprinkler system. One wonders whether these gentlemen paused to consider that perhaps the best way to avoid atomic destruction was simply not to build atomic weapons in the first place. But such thoughts would have spoiled the entire performance. International responses. The themes in One World or None helped fuel support for a supranational vision in the wake of nuclear devastation. While the exact international reach of One World or None is not exhaustively documented, its central slogan, One World or None, became a rallying cry of the broader World Federalist movement, and similar movements in Australia, France, and Britain. It became the global promise ring of freshman diplomat movements from Brisbane to Bordeaux, as they advocated the World Federalist movement's political ideology for a democratic, federal world government. This handy slogan of One World or None spread like radioactive fallout. Polls in the U.S. and Australia indicated 42 to 63% public support for world government by 1950. Probably so someone, somewhere, could be blamed for the mess. This represented a remarkable achievement, considering that most of these same people would have violently opposed world government just 5 years earlier. Fear, it seems, is democracy's most effective persuader. Meanwhile, other related classics like Norman Cousins' Modern Man is Obsolete wafted across the continents, 20 languages and 24 countries by 1950. It reminded everyone that with the atomic age came the obsolescence not just of machines, but of the species operating them. A cheery note, indeed. After Hiroshima was bombed, according to Cousins, a new age was born. That day marks the violent death of one stage in man's history and the beginning of another. This new age, the atomic age, possessed a saturating effect, permeating every aspect of man's activities, from machines to morals, from physics to philosophy, from politics to poetry. In sum, it is in effect creating a blanket of obsolescence not only over methods and the products of man, but over man himself. How wonderfully convenient that this new age, the atomic age, required new institutions, new authorities, and new levels of international oversight, solutions that happen to align perfectly with certain pre-existing ambitions for global governance.